Hi, I'm back. It's been a little bit. The last time I posted, I think I was working on that Knit Picks hat, the clock tam. No, I haven't finished it yet. I did get the ribbing done and part of the color work, but now I'm moving on to like the numbers section. That's the next thing. I meant to either figure out in, what is it? The knitting app thing that I have for the charts and all that. I meant to learn how to flip it, but now I know how to do that, but I never got to that point of actually executing it. So I'll show you when it's finished. Anyway, I am back because look what I managed to get my hot little hands on. It is the Lykke Blush long tip set. My local yarn store is Michigan Fine Yarns, and originally these needles were supposed to come out around Valentine's Day. And then everyone all around waited and waited and waited and waited, and they really didn't come out until like the end of last month was when retailers actually started having them. Now, places like, I don't think Webb's had them in stock. Neither did Jimmy Bean's Wool, so like your big online retailers didn't have them yet, just the smaller yarn stores, which is fine, which is great actually. So I messaged my local yarn store because they do sell the Lykke sets, and I got the double point set and I think it's the Umber. It's the gray blackish set in the 3.5 inch tips because I thought I would use those for hats, and they're handy for that. And those come in a wide range of sizes. They start at like a size, I want to say size 2 or 3, which, you know, hey, there's not a lot of interchangeable sets that start at that. Usually it's a 4 and up, mostly with like the Addie, Knit Picks, Knitter's Pride. They don't go down to that size. Chowgu does, though. Anyway, I liked those sets. And I figured, well, I want a long tip set now because I've been getting into more shawls and stuff where you need the bigger, longer needles. And I thought with my short tip sets that, well, I could just do the cable, right? You know, have the longer cable with the shorter tip and it'd be fine. But that's awkward. And I end up like clamping my hand down on the cable. And you know, it's really tiny. You need a longer needle. If you're doing something like that, shorter tips are fine for hats and stuff, but you need a longer tip. So I figured I wanted the Lykke Blush in the long tip. I really didn't care if I got the basket weave. I think this is basket weave. Yeah, that's basket weave. Or like the denim one. I didn't really care. I just wanted a set. So I guess you know that you are a loyal yarn store customer when your local yarn store owner sees that you are browsing for these needles on the website and puts one aside for you. And then texts you that she put one aside for you. So I just had to buy them. I couldn't let her down. I'm terrible. But anyway, here's a sneak peek at them. I started a shawl on them last night. I'm using a bulkier yarn. This is Lion Brand Homespun. I'll show you that in a minute. But look. So you open it up and it has like a zippy thing. There you go. Now you can see. And it has a zippy thing. And automatically I thought of my Addie sets where the cables and all that junk are in here. No, it's like a false little pocket thing. I guess you can put like stitch markers or whatever else you want in there. I might move the cables in there too. But you open it up, ta-da! And you have all the way down. Oh, these do start at a 4. It's the short tip sets that start at the smaller size. You have all the way from a US 4 to a US 17. And they included I flipped my stuff around last night. I was trying to do a gauge swatch for a project. I wanted to know. you have a 10, 10 and a half, and, well, you have a 10 and a 10 and a half in there. These are the 11s. I'm not sure if they come with a 12. I should have prepared a little bit better for this video, right? I'm sorry, 11s, 13s, 15s, and 17s. So you can go from not really like lace, but your lighter worsted weights, your DK, baby yarns, all the way up to your super, super bulkies. Usually with the prayer shawls, I do like maybe 10, a size 10 or size 10 and a half, maybe up to an 11. But I wouldn't really have used for like a 13 or 15 yet. But hey, there's always yarn that, you know, I'd rather have more than not enough, right? And the whole thing is pink. I just love it. I love it. All like color coordinated and stuff. But here is where it's like a little snap thing. They stuff all your cables. Now, I don't know the specifics on this set, but they don't come with a 16-inch because this is the long tip set. You can't make a 16-inch around with long tips like this because it won't work mathematically. You can't like put your needles together to knit. So it does start at, I think, a 20, which is good because there's like a 16 makes a very small hat. But a 24 might make it too big, so you need that 20-inch in between. So that's super. I mean, it is a little bit of a larger case, so maybe not as portable as the 3.5-inch tips because that's a pretty small case. It's like in your hand. But you have almost everything you need there. I like the cables. Let me pull one out and show ya. These are, if you're familiar with like ChowGoo spins, because the ChowGoo twist is the red cable, the spins is the clear cable. That is super flexible and it has this little, I don't know if you can see there. You can kind of just, the connection thing turns so that your cable doesn't kink on you, which is really nice. And this is like right out of the package, the pink cables. And I read somewhere that Lykke is going to change to these cables for all of their sets because while I liked the needle tips from my 3.5-inch set, my complaint was the cables. They would stay like kinked. And I don't think I've actually attached a Lykke cable to my 3.5-inch set because they're actually interchangeable with Knit Picks and Knitter's Pride. So if you have those cables and you like those, they are interchangeable with the Lykke. They're a little bit more flexible, not as flexible as like an Addie blue cord or a ChowGoo spin, because those ones you can bend that, do magic loop, do 2 at a time socks, whatever you want. So that is my show and tell for the case and all that. Let me show you what I'm working on. So I'm doing this is my second, prayer shawl. There's a local organization that does completely like contactless delivery. It's really cool. Of these prayer shawl kits. She will drop off the yarn for you in a tucker tote on your front porch, give you a little bit of information about the shawl recipient, just first names and like what they're going through, vaguely. And you make the shawl with the yarn that's provided. This was the homespun. It's purple. It looks great, but it's purple. And when you're done with it, you text her or email her. She picks up the box and gives you another box. You have the opportunity to kind of like take a break. Like if you just want her to pick up the box and not drop one off, which I might do next time. Just so I can actually work on my other stuff, like for the state fair and all that. So yeah, that is a little bit about that. But I have it on the Blush needles. Now, these aren't really like I mean, it's a pointed tip, but it isn't your razor sharp, like Addie Lace, ChiaoGoo Twist, or if you use Haya Haya, those are really, really sharp, sharp, sharp. But it's just enough to where you're not splitting the yarn, but you also don't feel like you are chasing your project where it's all falling off your needles. So it's really nice. Let me scooch. So I like them. Now I can see like where you kind of do have to check the connection. And the only knitting needles that you don't really have to do that with are the Addies. But the con of the Addies is the little bump where you connect it. It's visible, you can feel it. But they won't come like unturned on you. But I'll still work with the Addies, and it's just a habit where I'll check the connection and I'll kind of forget, hey, I'm working with an Addie flick. But yeah. I also got, and I'll show you in a minute, I'm trying to get across the row. I did a review a few months ago about a couple of the Addie sets that I had. And I originally got the Addie squared, Rocket squared needles in the short set. And those are great for hats. And then the smaller circumference things like owls. I mean, even those are larger, but you know, a smaller tip is what I'm trying to get at. And I really liked them. And I found the opportunity for a deal with Jimmy Bean's Wool, and I bought the long tip set from them. And I love those equally. It's more grabbable, I guess, for your larger projects, for your Afghans, for your shawls, bigger things where you want a longer tip, but you still like that square. Years ago, Knitter's Pride, well, they still have them. Knitter's Pride Cubics. I tried them because they were the new hit thing. I went on vacation and I figured, okay, I'm going to buy a set of double point needles. I'm going to see how I like them. And I tried them and I just felt like it was slowing me down. I just felt like it was hard to like have a round stitch around a square needle, and they were really, really like hard edges where if you didn't grab your stitch just the right way, if it wasn't sitting on your needle just the right way, it would do, I just didn't like it. So I still have them. I mean, they were what, like $10 for 5 of the double points. Just didn't buy an interchangeable of them. Didn't invest in, you know, extra circulars and like the sizes I like. Just kind of, you know, they're sitting in my yarn bag. And so Addie came out with theirs, and I was hesitant because as much as I love Addie, you know, duh, square needles. But people were starting to compare them to the Collage Squared or the Knitter's Pride Cubics, and they said they're totally different. It isn't a hard, sharp edge. So I said, okay, I'll give them a try. They have these little ridges that I guess it helps. I don't know what it helps with. I think it helps with gauge or helps with, I don't know. They have these little like heart ridges, and they make a almost like a zinging sound when you knit with them. I don't mind it. I actually really, really like them. So I finished my row on that. Lightning fast, huh? But one thing about the wood needles, it doesn't really slow me down. They have a little bit of a smoother coating on them. It isn't like a natural wood or a bamboo where you'd be worried that it would splinter. It's really, really smooth. And just a sharp enough tip where you're not gonna, if you're like a pusher, you're not gonna make holes in your fingers if you do that. But just sharp enough grip where you don't feel like you have to knit really, really fast. So I'm going to show you the Addies that I got. My package over here. So the denim case is the short tip, which I originally got. And I love them. As you can see, one is in a project right now. Awesome, you know, same, I can actually close it, right? Same case design as their other previous cases. They got like a signature thing going on here. I try to close it. You can tell these are unedited. So this is a little bit of a lighter blue, and these are the longer tips. I've used some of these. I haven't, but I bound off already. Finished my project. Now these, same concept as every other interchangeable knitting needle set. They don't come with a 16-inch cable because you can't make a 16-inch cable, make a 16-inch thing around with a 5-inch needle tip. And you know, same concept as all the other Addie things. You put your cords in the back. And then, yes, mine did come with the blue cords because I bought them from a retailer in the US. One weird, like, side note thing is when I first tried Addie needles, here's how I got hooked on them. I started knitting socks 2 at a time, and it was the only way I understood how to knit socks. I'm still more successful with 2 at a time than I am doing 1 at a time with a double point needle. I originally bought just a fixed circular, 40 inches of the Chaogu brand. I bought that while I was on vacation too, and I loved that needle, whatever size it was, like a size 1 or a size 2. And I used that for most of my socks until I needed other sizes, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, there's these Addie needles out, and they're expensive because the fixed circulars are expensive. There's no doubt about it. Everyone knows that Addie needles are just about $20 a pair, as opposed to like Knitter's Pride that are maybe 10 to 12, and Chaogu that are like 8 to 10, depending on what size you buy. So I said, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to get one Addie needle. And that was actually, well, it was a sock rocket. That's what it was. And it had this gold cord. And I said, oh, I love the gold cord. And that's what I want all my Addie needles to have is the gold cord. I love this gold cord ever. And then they phased that out. And I guess over the last couple of years, they say the blue cord is for the US, the gold is for, I don't know, like another continent, another country. And then there's the red cord, which is a Europe thing. And there's some sets on Amazon that have the red cord, and they're not like a US authorized Addie dealer. So you can run into a little bit of trouble with that when it comes to replacements. But I loved that gold cord. My gosh. But still, I like the clear cord too. Super flexible, great for 2 at a time socks. Doesn't really have memory. Awesome. I love Addie stuff. I'm not much of a bamboo needle person. I find that they just don't glide as well. Sometimes they can splinter. I did read, I guess like Addie redid their sets way before, I got into knitting and stuff. Because the original Addie Click set came in not like a needle case like these Addies do. but in like a box. And people had a fair amount of issues with those. And that's why they redesigned them, so we all have cases like that now. But people were saying that if you really love and you really use your Addy bamboo needles, that they dull over time. And they can get splinters. People have just various issues with them. So I'm kind of tending to stay away. I don't really love the clover bamboo double points that I have just randomly acquired over the years. So I'm going to, as much as I love Addy, because we know I love Addy, I'm going to stay away from the bamboos. I do like I haven't really started a project with them, but I have like felt the needles. The Addy olive wood set. And with all this COVID stuff that's been going on in the world lately, those sets are extremely hard to come by for like sourcing reasons, I guess. So AddyNeedleShop.com, it always has like 20% off of Addy stuff. They're probably the best prices out there. And they are an Addy authorized dealer. They don't have any of those sets in stock, for at least the olive wood ones. And I was kind of eyeing them, and then I found them on Amazon. I can find anything on Amazon. So I got those, and I will let you know about how I like those. This turned into a longer video than I thought, man. Why do I ramble so much? But anyway, I just wanted to give you all a look at the Lykke Blush sets. There's really no in-depth videos on them on YouTube. I know it's self-explanatory. It's an interchangeable set. But there was like one yarn store that got them in, but they didn't really show much of them. They didn't really like open the case and show you what sizes and all of that. I meant to do an unboxing video last week, and I kind of did, but it wasn't as good as this one, and it was shaky, and I recorded on my phone. I might still upload it so you can all laugh. But anyway, that is my review. Hope you enjoyed watching this. Put any questions down in the comments. Not that I get a ton of views. Sometimes I swear that this channel is set to private. Not that I really want it to blow up all that much. But, yeah, I will be back. I don't know. Probably soon. I wanted to just talk about the Noro line of yarns. I went to a new yarn store last week, actually. And this store, she started the night shift shawl a few years ago when it was just booming with popularity. And everyone was using this one type of Noro yarn, and it just exploded. And around here, like, I'd say not even just the Detroit metro area, but like east to west, not like north to south. Apparently, the designer of the night shift and the shift cowl is from Michigan. So there was a couple indie, not even indie dyers, but in Michigan who produce these beautiful variegated yarns that are perfect for these projects. So offhand, I know Spun Ann Arbor features one type of yarn, and Michigan Fine Yarns, my local yarn store, does another type of yarn. Come to think of it, I actually I have enough to do another cowl. I just have to have that stuff wound, but it was during COVID, and they wouldn't, well, we're still in COVID, let's face it. But it was like late last year, and my yarn store doesn't wind yarn during COVID. They sell the yarn ball winder so you can do it yourself. I have a yarn ball winder. I got to figure out how to use that and like put it together right, because I don't think I put it together right. Sometimes I'd rather just pay someone to wind it for me. I don't know. So anyway, I bought some Noro yarn at this new yarn store last week, and it is like a cotton blend. Let me try to pull stuff up on my phone. because I did order more from Webs. Where is it? What did I order? Noro Ito is a blend of all sorts of things, pretty much everything but the kitchen sink. No, Noro Ito is 100% wool. Oh, that's why, because it messed up all my emails and stuff. Noro Ito is 100% wool, and that's what the original Night Shift was knitted from, I think. Or it's one of the most popular ones, at least. What is brand new is this. It is Noro. I know you can't even see because my lighting's so cruddy. It's Noro Enka, E-N-K-A. And Noro stuff always confuses me, probably because I'm not sophisticated enough to understand any of this stuff. But it was really soft. It was like a lighter worsted weight yarn. And I got 2 skeins, enough to make a Night Shift shawl, which is actually, so you're not like switching colors, you know, doing 6 colors, which is really what it did call for with the original Night Shift shawl. But it is a 50% cotton, 20% silk, 15% wool, 15% polyamide. And they say it's a DK weight. I believe it, actually. So I was at the yarn store and I saw the sample. And the thing about seasonal stuff and seasonal yarn and seasonal colors is that, at least with me, I will take a liking to something that was released like 3 years ago. And I want that color. And they don't make it anymore. So I asked the yarn store owner, I said, what colors did you use for that? And she's like, they're all, I don't know. It was the 2019 line of stuff, and she used like 6 colors in it. It is, if you do the original, like whatever Noro yarn you're supposed to use with it, they're the smaller skeins, they're like 20 bucks a skein. It gets expensive. You got to really think about that project because $20 times 6, really. But if that's the effect that you want, is that you really can't choose 2 colors, hey. Or 2 multicolored skeins. And the cool thing is that no one's shawl is the same. Even if someone bought, even if 2 people bought like the same colors, it still won't come out the same. And it's just so unique. So I'm looking forward to starting that one too, eventually, which is probably why I need all the needles I have. One tip I will say about, I might have said it in my last video, about the shift cowl and the Night Shift shawl is that there's a lot of increases and decreases. So you need a good, sharp, slick needle. So something like Addie as opposed to a like a Lykke or a, think of it, Knitter's Pride Knit Picks wood needle. And I did try it with the wood needles. It just didn't work out as well. And I eventually switched back to the metal ones because you need that good, sharp, precise tip to do all of that stuff. But I will let you know how that turns out. It is not my state fair entry because I'm always afraid that someone's going to make the same thing I did. So, or with the same colors. So that's why I'm not going to enter that one. For like secrecy reasons, I won't. Well, didn't I already talk about the clock tam? So, but like my shawl, which I really want to defend my first place title with shawls in the state fair. Oh yeah, I cannot wait to show you what I came up with. And actually, a little bit about it, the backstory of how that came to be is that I saw this pattern get released, and I said, I wonder what kind of yarn would go with it. I was automatically in my head thinking variegated. And then I'd pair it with a solid, contrasting color. And then A Stitch in Time is a yarn store in Howell. And they're not really local to me. I've never been out there to shop, but they have an online store. And once a month, she does a Facebook Live sale where it's pretty deeply discounted yarns or needles or whatever she's selling at that time. And she had a multi-pack of this multicolor yarn. And I said, you know what? Not only do I really like that yarn, I know what project I'm going to use it for. And as soon as I got it, I cast it on. Which, that's a surprise for someone like me because it can sit for a very long time. And I know what project I was going to do with it, but I never got to it. So that's what I have to say. And that one I'm actually working with the Addie Rocket Squared needles. I really like how it's coming along. So I'm about halfway done with it, actually. I would actually be fully done with it if I actually, picked it up and worked on it. Which I might do tonight, but like my charity knitting projects, that kind of has a deadline and a timeline and all of that, and I want to return it as soon as possible. I think I need to stop taking on so many projects. So then maybe I can finish my own stuff. So that is my deal. Just wanted to show ya some new stuff. Bye. Until next time.